Good morning, students. This is Alpha Metric High Secondary School. Welcomes you all to the 11th Standard Commerce class. And today we are going to see Unit 3 Service Business Part 1, Chapter 10 Reserve Bank of India. So, what is the need for the study of service business? What comes under the service business? For example, education, medical, hospitality, trade, all these comes under this service business. And this service sector has emerged as a very important sector nowadays in this world, and it helps a lot in the development of world economy. It contributes almost one third of the world gross value added, half the world employment. So half of the world employment is created by the service sector, and next one fifth of the global trade, and also more than half of the world foreign direct investment flows is done by this service sector. And this service sector has greatly helped in the development of India's economic growth. And in this lesson, we are going to see about the banking service. Learning objectives: to understand the meaning of central bank, to gain knowledge about the origin of the Reserve Bank of India, to know about the functions of RBI, the Reserve Bank of India. Banking service. Banking service is a nerve center of industry and commerce in a country. So for an industrial or a commercial activity, what is needed? Money is needed for the smooth functioning of an industry, for the development of an industry. So that money is provided by the bank. So normally a bank, it refers to commercial bank, and there are different types of banks, and each bank, they do different services, they give different services. So every nation has one central bank. It is owned by the government of the country. A central bank is set up as an autonomous or quasi-autonomous body. Stability and growth are the main goals of a central bank. In India, the Reserve Bank of India, RBI, is a central bank. So every nation, if you take, it consists of one central bank, and this central bank is owned by the government of that country. And the central bank, it is an autonomous or quasi-autonomous body, that is, it is wholly or partly, partially owned and managed by the government. And what are the two main goals of the central bank? One is stability and the other one is growth. Stability and growth of a country's economy, these are the two main goals of the central bank. So in every nation, if you take, the central bank has got different names. In different countries, they are called by different names. And in India, central bank is called as the Reserve Bank of India, RBI. The historical development of banks in India. So how the development of banks in India took place. Bank of Hindustan was the first bank in India, established in 1770 and was closed in 1932. So the first bank in India, it was established in 1770 and it was called as Bank of Hindustan. And this Bank of Hindustan was closed in the year 1932. The General Bank of India was established in 1786. So again in the year 1786, the General Bank of India was established. Bank of Calcutta was the first joint stock bank established in 1806. So in 1806, the first joint stock bank, it was established and it was called as Bank of Calcutta. Bank of Bengal in 1809. That is, this Bank of Calcutta, it was renamed as Bank of Bengal in the year 1809. And Bank of Bombay, it was established in the year 1840, and Bank of Madras, it was established in the year 1843. These banks are called presidential banks, that is Bank of Bengal, Bank of Bombay, and Bank of Madras. These three banks, they were called as presidential banks, amalgamated into the Imperial Bank of India on 27 January 1921. So these three banks, they were amalgamated. Amalgamated is they were combined together to form the Imperial Bank of India on 27 January 1921. After independence, an act was passed in Parliament to take over the Imperial Bank of India by the government, and SBI came into being on July 1st, 1955. So after independence, an act was passed in the Parliament, and this Imperial Bank of India, it was taken over by the government, and the SBI, that is State Bank of India, it came into existence on July 1st, 1955. Next, definition of bank. According to Banking Regulation Act 1949, banking means the accepting for the purpose of lending or investment of deposits of money from the public, repayable on demand or otherwise, and withdrawable by check, draft, pay order, or otherwise. So what does this banking mean? Banking is, it is the accepting of deposits from the public, deposit of money from the public, and also lending it when there is any demand from the public, or the public can withdraw the money by means of check, draft, or pay order. So this was the definition given by the Banking Regulation Act 1949. Origin of RBI. In 1926, the Hilton Young Commission, or the Royal Commission on Indian Currency and Finance, made recommendations to create a central bank. So before this commission, if you see, the bank was the Imperial Bank of India, and it only carried out the note issue and other functions of the central bank. And in the year 1926, the Hilton Young Commission, or the Royal Commission on Indian Currency and Finance, they made a recommendation to create a central bank. So as a result, the RBI Act in 1934, it was passed, and RBI launched in operation from April 1st, 1935. So the act was passed in the year 1934, and it started its operation in the year 1935 on 1st April. So this RBI, it was established with a share capital of rupees 5 crores, and it was divided into number of shares, and each share was rupees 100. It was fully paid up share, and this share, the shareholders were fully private shareholders only. Okay, and the head office of this RBI was in Calcutta, and in the year 1937, the head office was shifted to Mumbai. So after independence, the government of India passed the Reserve Bank Act in the year 1948, and it took over the RBI after paying appropriate compensation to the private shareholders. So after independence, the government of India, they have passed the Reserve Bank Act in the year 1948, and they took over the RBI, and also they paid compensation to the private shareholders. And from January 1st, 1949, RBI started functioning as a government-owned central bank of India. So this is the origin how the Reserve Bank of India came into existence. Next, organizational structure of RBI. So that head office of the RBI is situated in Mumbai. The central office has 33 departments, and there are 4 zonal offices which are located in Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta, and Chennai. And there are 19 regional offices and 11 sub offices. And these zonal offices, that is the Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta, Chennai. So these functions under local boards with deputy governors as their heads. And the RBI is governed by a central board of directors, and this central board of directors are 21 in number. So they are appointed by the government of India. That is the 21 members. They are appointed by the government of India. And they consist of one governor and 4 deputy governors appointed for a period of 4 years. And next 10 directors from various fields. And next 2 government officials. And 4 directors, one each from local boards. So totally 21 members. They are appointed by the government of India. Functions of RBI. So what are the functions? See, leadership and supervisory functions. Second one is traditional functions. And the third one is promotional functions. We'll see one by one. Leadership and supervisory functions. So first one, India's representative in world financial institutions. So India has been a member in the World Bank. See, RBI represents Government of India in IBRD and IMF, in which India is a member since December 27, 1945. So RBI, it is a member in IBRD. IBRD is International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, that is World Bank. And in IMF is International Monetary Fund. And India is a member since December 27, 1945. Second one, regulator and supervisor of Indian banking system. The guidelines for all banking operations in the country are formulated by the RBI. It has the power to issue license, control and supervise commercial banking under the RBI Act 1934 and the Banking Regulation Act 1949. So, the rules and regulations for all the banking operations are formulated by the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, and it has got the power to issue license, control as well as supervise the commercial banks, that is providing license to the commercial banks, controlling it, supervising it. So all this is done by the Reserve Bank of India under the RBI Act 1934 and the Banking Regulation Act 1949. So this RBI, it conducts regular inspection and also it calls for necessary information from the commercial banks. Monetary Authority. RBI maintains monetary policy of the country in order to maintain price stability, inflationary trends, economic growth. So RBI, it formulates, implements and monitors the monetary policy of the country in order to maintain price stability, inflationary trends. Inflationary trends is the rising prices and also the economic growth. Next, closely monitoring economic parameters. So economic parameters such as employment level, price level, production level, trade cycles, BOP, that is balance of payment, financial markets are closely monitored by the RBI. So all these economic parameters are being monitored by the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, and this is done to achieve economic stability and growth. And the Board of Financial Supervision under the RBI, it meets at least once in a year and they monitor all these current developments in the country. Promptly responding to new challenges. Whenever challenges arose before Indian banking system, RBI promptly attended them by issuing master circular and by organizing committees to analyze, review, and strengthen Indian banking. So when there is any challenges before Indian banking system, the RBI, it issues master circular and it also appoints committees to analyze and also to review and to strengthen the Indian banking system. For example, Gopalakrishnan Committee, which was appointed on information security, electronic banking in the year 2010. The second function of the RBI is traditional functions. So in that, first one is banker and financial advisor to the government. The RBI accepts money into the central and state government accounts and make payments on their behalf. So any payment regarding the state government or central government, the RBI makes payment on their behalf, and it manages government debts and is responsible for issue of new loans. And also the RBI gives advice to the government regarding the timing and terms of the new loans, and also it provides advice to the government regarding the temporary financial needs. Next, if there is any surplus government funds, the RBI takes the responsibility to invest those surplus government funds, and also if there is any intergovernment or interdepartmental account adjustment, and that is also done by the RBI. Monopoly of note issue. The RBI is the sole authority for the printing and issue of all currency notes in India except 1 rupee note. 1 rupee note and all coins are issued by the Ministry of Finance. So the printing and the issue of currency notes is done by the RBI except 1 rupee note. So 1 rupee note and coins are issued by the Ministry of Finance. Okay, and it is the duty of the RBI to check whether quality currency notes are issued to the public, and also the number of good quality currency has to be issued, as well as sufficient number of currency should also be issued to the public. And next, where these currency notes are printed, it is printed in Nasik, Divas, Salboni, Mysore. In those places it is printed, and currency notes are not printed outside India. Okay. Bankers Bank. The relationship between RBI and other banks in the country, that is how a commercial bank has relationship with its customers. Same way the RBI also has a relationship with the other commercial banks. So it maintains the correct accounts of all commercial banks in the country. All banks, they can receive loans from RBI by rediscounting of bills and against approved securities. Next, controller of credit and liquidity. Controlling the credit money in circulation and the interest rate in the country is a major function of RBI. So this RBI, it controls the credit money in circulation and also the interest rate in the country. And for this purpose, it uses two methods of credit control. One is the quantitative method of credit control, and the other one is qualitative credit control measures. We'll see one by one. Quantitative methods of credit control. The method which influence the total volume of credit in Indian economy are called quantitative or general methods. So this method tells about the volume of credit money in circulation, whether there is reduce in the volume of money in circulation in India, or there is an increase in the volume of money in credit money in the circulation in India. Bank rate policy. Bank rate refers to the rate at which the RBI rediscounts the bills given by the scheduled banks. So bank rate, it is nothing but the rate at which the RBI rediscounts the bills. Rediscounts, that is lowering the marketable value of the instrument for the second time. Okay, next, cash reserve ratio. So it is the ratio of cash reserves with the RBI kept by the scheduled banks in proportion to the total time and demand liabilities with them. So it is a ratio of cash reserves kept by the scheduled banks with the RBI, and it is proportion to total time and demand liabilities. Total time and demand liabilities is, that is, it is liable to and after an agreed period of time, and demand liability is, it is repayable on demand. So that is what cash reserve ratio. So it is a ratio of cash reserve kept by the scheduled banks with the RBI in proportion to the total time and demand liabilities with them. Statutory liquidity ratio. So it is a ratio of money and money equivalents kept with the bank in proportion to the total time and demand liabilities with them. So here we have already seen that in cash reserve ratio, it is the cash reserve which is kept by the scheduled banks with the RBI. And here statutory liquidity ratio is, it is the ratio of money or money equivalent which is kept within the bank and in proportion to the total time and demand liabilities with them. Next, open market operations. The RBI directly buys or sells the securities and bills in the money market either to decrease or to increase the total volume of money. So here the RBI, it buys and sells the securities in the money market. For what purpose? Either to decrease or to increase the total volume of money. Okay. Qualitative credit control measures. So these methods influence the volume of money in selected or particular sectors of the economy. So here the RBI fixes the volume of money for particular or selected sectors of the economy. First one, rationing of credit. Maximum limit is fixed for lending to certain sectors or specific purpose. So here the RBI, it fixes the limit of the credit money for each sector according to its importance. Marginal requirement. It refers to the percentage of the value of securities submitted before issue of loans. So it looks into the requirement of the value of securities. That is, before issuing the loans, it sees to the value of securities submitted. Next, direct action. The RBI takes corrective action on any bank or banks that does not follow its guidelines. It is called direct action. So if any bank doesn't follow the guidelines given by the RBI takes action against that bank, and that is called as direct action. Moral suasion. The RBI puts pressure on the banks towards liberal or restricted lending during certain periods. So the RBI, that is, it puts pressure on the banks, that is, during certain period the banks has to be liberal in lending, and in certain period they have to restrict the lending of money. Lender of the last resort. In times of emergency, any bank in India can approach RBI for financial assistance. RBI provides them with credit. When other sources of getting credit are exhausted, all banks can obtain loan from RBI, and hence it is called lender of the last resort. So in case of emergency, any bank which is in need of financial assistance, they can get the help from the RBI, and RBI also provide credit to that bank. So if there is no chance of getting credit, there is no source of getting credit, by the banks, they can approach the RBI for loans, and the RBI also provides them with loan, and it is called as lender of last resort. Clearinghouse service. RBI acts as clearinghouse and maintains a clearing system for all commercial banks in India. So this RBI acts as an intermediary between the banks. Net settlement is arrived at the clearinghouse between the banks, and accordingly the debit or the credit entry is made in their current accounts. So this clearinghouse system saves time, and it also eliminates paperwork, and it also solves the interbank settlement, any difficulty between the interbank settlement. The RBI maintains the clearinghouse system, but only 14 clearing houses are owned by the RBI, and 840 are managed by the SBI, and 6 by the nationalized bank, and totally there are 860 clearing house services. Custodian of foreign exchange reserves. The RBI maintains a reserve of gold and foreign currencies. When foreign reserves are inadequate for meeting balance of payments problem, it borrows from the International Monetary Fund. So RBI, it maintains a reserve of gold and foreign currencies, and if it is not able to meet the balance of payment problem with those foreign reserves, so it borrows it from the International Monetary Fund, and it solves the problem. And this RBI, it is the function of RBI to look into the development and maintenance of foreign exchange market in India. Maintenance of foreign exchange rate. The RBI manages the exchange value of the rupee in order to facilitate India's foreign trade and payments. So it manages the exchange value, that is exchange rate of the rupee, so that it helps in India's foreign trade and payments. So it ensures that normal short-term fluctuations in trade do not affect the exchange rate. That is short-term fluctuation in trade, that is the rise and fall in prices. They do not affect the exchange value of the rupee. Okay. Collection and publication of authentic data. It has also been entrusted with the task of collection and compilation of statistical information relating to banking and other financial sectors of the economy. RBI monthly bulletin, annual report, and various committee reports contain treasures of authentic data. So this RBI, it also collects the statistical information relating to banking and other financial sectors, and also it issues, that is monthly bulletin, monthly report, annual report, and also there are various committee reports, and these reports have a lot of information which are real datas, which gives the real datas. Promotional functions. The RBI performs a wide range of promotional functions to support national objectives. So the first one is nurturing banking habits among the public, that is to make the public to use the banking services. So it is the responsibility of RBI to maintain the public confidence in the banking system. So this RBI has to maintain, they have to increase the confidence of the people in banking system. It protects the depositors' interest and aim at providing cost-effective banking service in order to include more people to avail banking service. So more and more people will avail to banking service. They use the banking service only when their interests are, depositors' interests are protected, and also when it provides cost-effective banking service. So the first promotional function is nurturing banking habits among the public. Grievance settlement measures. So that is the RBI looks into the grievances of the customers, that is the complaints made by the customers regarding the banking service. The RBI has appointed 20 banking ombudsmen in 20 state capitals. Banking Ombudsman Scheme is a speedy and inexpensive forum for resolution of customer complaints relating to certain services rendered by banks in India. So this Banking Ombudsman Scheme, it is a speedy and inexpensive forum for resolution of customer complaints, for filing a customer complaint relating to any banks in India, that is relating to the service rendered by any banks in India. Agricultural development. So RBI gives priority to this agriculture industry. Agriculture industry is specified as priority sector by the RBI. So agriculture is the backbone of India, isn't it? Agriculture industry is the backbone of India. So this RBI gives importance to this agriculture industry. The loans of all scheduled banks should consist of a percentage of loans to priority sectors. So the scheduled banks, they should allot a percentage of loans for this important sectors. It works in close association with NABARD to develop agriculture in India. NABARD is the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, and this was once a subsidiary of RBI, and now RBI and NABARD, they work closely to develop agriculture in India. Promotion of small scale industries. Micro, small, and medium enterprises are included in the priority sector. So, as agriculture is in the priority sector, same way small scale industries, that is micro, small, and medium enterprises, are also included in this priority sector. They are also given importance by the RBI. All scheduled banks are required to open separate branches to specialize the financing of these industries. So how a separate percentage is allotted for the agriculture purpose, for giving loans for agriculture purpose. Same way, the banks, they are also required to open separate branches to help these industries, to provide them with loans to these industries. Next, facilitates foreign trade. The RBI has simplified the rules for credit to exporters, through which they can now get long-term advance from banks. So it also helped in foreign trade. The RBI has also helped the foreign trade by simplifying the rules for the credit to exporters. That is, they can get long term advance, they can get long term loans from the banks for their business activities. Supports cooperative sector. It helps cooperative banks by relaxing rules and providing indirect financing. So the RBI, it also helps the cooperative sector by indirectly giving financial assistance, and also they have relaxed the rules relating to cooperative banks. Next, we'll see about the Indian currency. The rupee symbol was changed from rupees RS to, now you can see the symbol here, by the Government of India on July 15, 2010. This became necessary since other countries, Indonesia, Mauritius, Nepal, Pakistan, also call their currencies rupee. Among global currencies, Indian rupee is given the code INR, Indian rupee, by the International Organization for Standardization. So the symbol, rupee symbol, has been changed by the Government of India on July 15, 2010. And what was the reason for it? Because the other countries like Indonesia, Mauritius, Nepal, Pakistan, they also use the currency rupee. So they have, Indian government has changed the symbol, okay. And the global currencies, Indian rupee, is given the code INR, that is Indian Rupee, by the International Organization for Standardization. The last topic we are going to see is the achievements of the RBI. RBI is one of the best central banks in the world. RBI took proactive measures during global economic slowdown in 2008-9 to save Indian economy. So RBI is regarded as one of the best central banks in the world, and it has taken measures to save the Indian economy during 2008-9 when there was an economic slowdown. Next, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, NABARD, was once a subsidiary of RBI, and it is the first of its kind in the entire world. So this NABARD, this was once a subsidiary of RBI, and this kind of bank was the first kind in the entire world. Next, the demonetization in 2016-17 was a grand success because of the leadership role of the RBI. So what is meant by demonetization? Demonetization is nothing but withdrawal of coin or rupee note from use by the government, and that was done under the leadership of RBI in the year 2016, November 8th, 2016. So this was done, that is rupees 500 rupees and 1000 rupees currency notes which were in circulation, that were demonetized, that is, that were asked to return to the banks. And it also carried on the remonetization also. Remonetization is issue of new currency notes, that is new 2000 notes and 500 currency notes were put into circulation. So with this we come to the end of the chapter. Students, in this lesson we have learned the meaning of central bank and how the Reserve Bank of India came into existence and what are the functions of the Reserve Bank of India. Thank you, students.